What happened to the most popular kids in your school? One of my best friends was from the wrong side of the tracks, poor, had a mullet, and wore Metallica shirts way before they broke into mainstream. He was extremely popular because he was crazy smart, very talented, and driven. Everyone wanted to be his friend and he was very open about being nice to everyone. Many parents were like, don't hang out with that John Smith boy, he's on drugs and a bad influence. He was not, it was the satanic scare of the late 80s and 90s and he liked metal music. He worked his ass off all his life and is now pretty darn wealthy with a house, wife, and kids in California. When we chat it up on the phone, he is the same person I grew up with. Crazy funny and extremely kind. All the people that were popular and bullied me as a kid that my mom said would wind up as prison lowlifes are either in the military, police or university professors now. I wasn't bullied by most of the popular kids, but so this. Contrary to popular media stereotypes, I couldn't even hate the popular kids at my school, because they were typically so darn nice. People said the popular kids are brainless mean girls and jocks who end up being lowlifes working at crap jobs. But considering most of the popular kids, at least at my school, were 1. Doing well in school. 2. Usually from well-off families. 3. Attractive, and most importantly. 4. Friendly, outgoing, etc. Or even the ones that didn't qualify for number 1, they were at least 2 of the other 3, yeah, I don't know where they are now, but highly doubt they're doing poorly in adulthood. Life is just easier for people who are naturally charismatic and sociable. Lots of well-paying jobs they can thrive in, some of which don't even require a ton of schooling or high intelligence. The most popular kid in our school was a guy named Josh. Insanely outgoing and friendly, he could befriend anyone he talked to within 5 seconds, and always did. The active athlete was on the football team. Straight A student. Very devout churchgoer. I didn't meet him until later in high school when he was part of a Dungeons and Dragons game I joined. Always put on a great time role-playing. While we didn't get close, we had a couple of extraordinarily memorable times during our senior year of high school, very fun and meaningful times that stood out strongly to me during a crappy part of my life and are still remembered fondly by me 20 years later. Josh was going places, and he'd make a difference somewhere. We lost touch after high school. 3 years later he fell asleep behind the wheel of his truck and hit a tree. Died on impact. Found out through another friend who'd kept up with him, and we went to his funeral. I'd never seen a church so packed full of people for something like this, hundreds and hundreds of people. From our school, from his church, from all over life, the church was legitimately full. To this day, one of my few true lifelong regrets is letting my anxiety get the better of me when Josh's pastor asked people to come up to the mic and say something about Josh. I should have told everyone of our ludicrous all-nighter digging his truck out of the mud in a forest he'd gone mudding in after an evening school performance where we were all still in khakis and polos. Finishing at 3 a.m. and somehow ending our bedraggled asses at IHOP after getting it out. I should have told everyone how we found out our D&D GM was moving away on short notice, and we hightailed it to his place after school and ran out of gas in that bloody truck getting there, then flooded the engine refilling it from a jerry can, stuck with our GM who didn't want anyone coming to say goodbye, and ending up late in the evening lying in that truck bed talking about science and philosophy and religion. 3 teenage dudes waiting for that goddamn bloody truck to get to a drivable condition so we could say goodbye to our friend properly before he disappeared from our lives. I'm nearing 40, and I still regret not saying how great of a guy he was to a short, scrawny, long-haired metalhead weirdo like I was in high school. Because he was. He was going to make a difference. I suppose, given all the people at his funeral, he still did. With that many people being at his funeral, he must have been a cool and nice dude. You're nearing 40, so I am guessing Josh's parents are still alive? It would mean a lot to them, I am sure, if you cut and pasted this comment into a letter and mailed it to them. To know that someone remembers and still thinks of him would mean so much. My class was about that size, and I remember always thinking that many of the high school stereotypes you would see on TV and film didn't seem to apply at a school that huge. People who might have been the school bully in a smaller school are properly segregated, and people who might have been an outcast in a smaller school could always find a clique of similarly minded weirdos. Popularity was never a school-wide thing because the orchestra people, the jocks, goths, the potheads, etc. all had their separate leaders. Also, as a result, we would often have a lot of cross-clique friendships and mixed parties where most people tended to be generally cool with each other. My class was about that size, and I remember always thinking that many of the high school stereotypes you would see on TV and film didn't seem to apply at a school that huge. Same. It was 850 kids in my class. NYC. So no campus, just a single secure building. One of my schools was actually inside a skyscraper. Kids didn't leave to get lunch without cutting class. Nobody drove, and there was no parking lot to hang out in. There was no football team. And just none of the tropes you see in the media. A lot of us worked after school. 80-something languages were spoken. Everyone was from somewhere else. So there were no new kid in town tropes. We didn't even have lockers. We also don't all go to our local schools, so the kids you went to school with in elementary school are a different set of kids than from your junior high, and are a different set of kids from your high school. And on top of that, you also had your own set of friends from your hood block, so it's not like you always were with the same kids all the time all through childhood. Like on TV, the kids you are in class with are also from your neighborhood, and you hung out with them outside of school, and they were also the same kids you played on sports teams with. In my world, those were always different sets of kids. Extremely different from all the suburban high school TV and movie shoot. Yeah, in my answer I was thinking of people elected to student government and the leadership club. Our school wasn't all that cliquey, but it seemed like different groups had different popular people. We had a class of around 900, and we couldn't get anyone to care about student body government. When it came to voting, most students were like, who even are these people? And just didn't vote. The girl who won had a near unanimous vote because she was in the marching band, and most of the votes were from other band members. Small town. There are always exceptions, but most kids who were popular were friendly, outgoing, well-dressed, and emotionally stable. That happened because they came from families with more money and better educated parents. Those parents often provided better mentoring, ensured they went to college, and as a result the kids ended up professionals who did reasonably well for themselves. This is a very unpopular and underreported reality, as the unpopular kids desperately want to believe the popular guys end up working at the local gas station or Walmart once their days as sports stars or heartthrobs are gone. While the nerds go on to become rich and successful exactly because of reasons that made them unpopular in school. Unfortunately for them, popularity is often based on social status and people skills. Two key assets in life at any age.
Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.